There are days when we all hit that wall. You know what I mean? The days when getting out of bed feels like a challenge, and working on your goals feels impossible. You've got a million excuses running through your head. I'm too tired. It's too hard. Or I'll do it tomorrow. But here's the hard truth. The best results don't come from waiting for the right moment or the right feeling. They come from taking action, even when you don't feel like it. In this video, I'm going to show you how to push through those tough moments when you just don't feel like working. You're going to learn how to force yourself to work, how to build the habits that get you moving even when your motivation is low. Because the truth is, if you only work when you feel like it, you'll never get where you want to go. This isn't about motivation that comes and goes. It's about developing discipline, making progress, and getting things done, no matter what. If you want to win, you have to keep going, even when it feels like everything is working against you. If you've ever struggled to get started when you don't feel like it, then this video is for you. By the end, you'll have simple, effective strategies to help you push past that resistance and start making things happen. So stay tuned, and let's get into it. Number 1, get out of the comfort zone. Comfort kills progress. If you want to make progress in your life, you have to be willing to get out of your comfort zone. Let's face it, comfort feels good. It's easy, it's familiar. And who doesn't like feeling comfortable? But here's the thing, comfort kills progress. It keeps you stuck where you are, and nothing changes. You'll be right where you are now, year after year. If you keep choosing comfort over growth, think about it. How many times have you made a decision based on what was easiest or most comfortable? How many times have you said no to an opportunity because it felt too risky or too unfamiliar? I'm not talking about taking reckless chances, but I'm talking about avoiding the very things that will help you grow because they push you out of your comfort zone. When you're comfortable, you're not growing. When you're comfortable, you're not reaching for anything bigger or better. You're not challenging yourself. You're just staying exactly where you are. And let me tell you something, growth never happens in your comfort zone. Look at all the successful people you admire. Their lives didn't just happen because they sat around being comfortable. They stepped out of their comfort zones. They did things that scared them. They pushed themselves to do the hard things when it would have been easier to sit back and relax. But they knew one important thing. Progress is made by stepping outside your comfort zone. Now, I'm not saying you should throw caution to the wind and do things that don't make sense. I'm talking about the small things. I'm talking about stepping up, trying something new, and challenging yourself in ways that will help you grow. You don't have to take huge leaps. Sometimes it's the small steps that make the biggest difference, but you have to take them. You have to do something different, even if it makes you a little uncomfortable. When you step out of your comfort zone, you're telling yourself, I'm ready for growth. It's not about avoiding fear or discomfort. It's about pushing through it. It's about understanding that every time you challenge yourself, you become stronger. Every time you push past your limits, you expand your capabilities. I know it's easy to get stuck in a routine. We all like routine. It feels good to know what to expect. But routine can be a trap. It can make you feel like you're doing something. But in reality, you're just staying in one place. You're just going through the motions, and nothing changes. So how do you break out of this cycle? First, you have to recognize that comfort isn't your friend. Comfort is the enemy of growth. When you're comfortable, you're not reaching your full potential. You're just settling. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you should live a life of constant discomfort. We all need time to rest and recharge. But too much comfort can lead to complacency, and complacency will rob you of your potential. The key to breaking free is to start small. You don't have to completely change everything at once. Just take one step outside your comfort zone. Do something that feels a little scary, a little uncertain. Maybe it's speaking up in a meeting at work. Maybe it's finally starting that project you've been putting off. Maybe it's reaching out to someone you admire for advice. Whatever it is, take that first step. Once you take that step, you'll start to realize that it wasn't as bad as you thought. You'll realize that the discomfort you felt wasn't as big a deal as your mind made it out to be. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. Your comfort zone will expand, and you'll find that you're capable of more than you ever thought possible. But if you keep staying in the same place, doing the same thing, nothing will change. Nothing will improve. If you want something better for your life, you have to be willing to do something different. You have to be willing to face the discomfort that comes with change. And let me tell you this, you're capable of more than you think. Every time you challenge yourself, you become a better version of yourself. Every time you face your fears and push through them, you gain confidence. You start to believe in yourself more. And that belief in yourself is what will carry you through when things get tough. But it's not going to happen if you stay comfortable. It's not going to happen if you keep avoiding the things that push you to grow. You have to make the choice to step out of your comfort zone, to face those fears, and to take that first step. And here's the thing, you don't have to do it alone. Find people who are also willing to grow, who are willing to step outside their comfort zones. Surround yourself with people who will encourage you, challenge you, and hold you accountable. It's much easier to step outside your comfort zone when you've got a support system. So what's the next step for you? What's one thing you can do today that will challenge you and push you to grow? It doesn't have to be huge, but it does have to be something that gets you out of your comfort zone. That's how you start making progress. That's how you start moving forward. The truth is, you have everything you need to succeed right now. The only thing holding you back is your willingness to step outside that comfort zone. Once you do that, once you start taking those steps, you'll see that you're capable of achieving things you never thought possible. So take the step, break free from your comfort zone. Your future self will thank you for it. And trust me, when you start stepping outside your comfort zone, you'll never want to go back. You'll keep pushing yourself, and you'll keep growing. Because once you experience growth, once you experience what it's like to step up and push through fear, you won't be able to stop. And that's when the magic happens. That's when progress becomes inevitable. Number 2, set a timer and just work for 10 minutes. Sometimes when the task ahead of you seems huge or overwhelming, the hardest part is simply getting started. It's easy to get caught up in your own thoughts, worrying about how much time it's going to take, how difficult it's going to be, or how you just don't feel like doing it right now. And when you let that happen, nothing gets done. You stay stuck, paralyzed by the thought of the work. And as time passes, you feel worse about not taking action. Here's a simple solution. Set a timer and work for just 10 minutes. It might sound too easy, but let me tell you, it works. The idea is to break the task down into manageable chunks. And in those 10 minutes, all you have to do is focus. Just get started. The 10 minutes is short enough to make it feel achievable, but long enough to help you make some real progress. I know, it sounds simple, but sometimes simplicity is all we need. Think about it. How often do you look at something you need to do and instantly feel overwhelmed? The whole idea of doing everything all at once, all day long, feels impossible. But when you narrow it down to just 10 minutes, it becomes manageable. You can do anything for 10 minutes. The key is to lower the barrier to entry. You don't have to commit to working for hours. You don't need to worry about finishing the entire task. Just focus on the first 10 minutes. And you know what? After those 10 minutes are up, you'll find it's a lot easier to keep going. Often just getting started is all you need to build momentum. It's human nature to resist starting something because we worry about how long it will take or how hard it will be. But the reality is, it's not the task itself that's the problem. It's our own resistance to it. We're scared of what it might involve. We're anxious about the effort it will take, or we're distracted by all the other things we think we should be doing. And so we put it off. We procrastinate. But if you give yourself just 10 minutes, you take away that resistance. You remove the pressure to complete everything. You're telling yourself, I'm just going to start just 10 minutes. That's all. You can do anything for 10 minutes, right? And here's the best part. Once you get those 10 minutes in, you might find that it's easier to keep going. The hardest part is often just taking that first step. After you've committed to those 10 minutes, you've already overcome the biggest hurdle, getting started. It's much easier to keep going once you're in motion. Think about it. You know how it feels when you get up to go to the gym, or when you finally sit down to start that project you've been avoiding. It's tough to begin. But after you get moving, after you put in those first few minutes of effort, the task doesn't feel so overwhelming anymore. You get into a groove. You realize that the work isn't as difficult as you imagined. And more often than not, those 10 minutes turn into 30 minutes or an hour. The key is to give yourself permission to start small. When you set the timer for just 10 minutes, you're removing all the excuses. You're not thinking about the full extent of the work or how long it will take. You're just thinking about the next 10 minutes, which is incredibly manageable. That's how you start building momentum. It's about creating a habit of action. Here's something important to remember. Action leads to more action. Once you take that first step, once you start doing something, you'll be amazed at how much more you can get done. The mind loves momentum. When you're in motion, your brain is ready to keep going. The longer you sit still, the harder it is to get started. But when you take that small action, when you get started, it becomes much easier to keep working. Think about this. What would happen if you worked for just 10 minutes a day, every day, on a project that's important to you? Over time, those 10-minute bursts would add up. You'd be amazed at how much progress you can make with just 10 minutes a day. And it doesn't matter how busy you are, how tired you feel, or how much else you've got going on. You can find 10 minutes. We all can. The key to this approach is consistency. It's not about perfection or about doing everything all at once. It's about showing up and doing what you can, when you can. And if you can only manage 10 minutes today, that's fine. Do your 10 minutes, and then celebrate the fact that you took action. You've started, you've moved forward, and that's what matters. If you look at successful people, you'll notice a common thread. They take consistent action. They don't let perfectionism stop them. They don't get paralyzed by the magnitude of the task. They take small steps every day, even if it's just 10 minutes. They understand that progress is built through consistent effort, no matter how small the effort may seem. The great thing about this approach is that it works for anything. Whether you're trying to write a book, get in shape, learn a new skill, or clean your house, just set a timer for 10 minutes and get started. Focus on what's in front of you and block out everything else. Just work for those 10 minutes. And don't forget to track your progress. It's amazing how motivating it can be to see how much you've accomplished in just a few minutes each day. You'll start to realize that small actions really do lead to big results. What seemed like an impossible task will start to feel more doable. And the more you keep showing up for those 10 minutes, the easier it becomes. But most importantly, don't let yourself get stuck in the trap of procrastination. Don't let your mind convince you that the task is too hard or too big. Take it one step at a time. Break it down into manageable pieces and just set that timer. Start with 10 minutes. That's all you need to get moving. Once you're in motion, you'll be amazed at how much you can accomplish. So right now, ask yourself, what's one thing you can commit to doing for just 10 minutes today? Set the timer, take that first step, and see what happens. You might just find that 10 minutes turns into 30 minutes or more. And that's how momentum is built. That's how progress happens. That's how you start achieving what you thought was impossible. And remember, the best time to start is always now. Number 3. Reward yourself after completing a task. You've probably heard it before, but let's talk about the power of rewards. We all work hard, but sometimes when we don't take the time to acknowledge our own efforts, it can feel like the work never ends. We get caught in a cycle of constantly pushing ourselves without stopping to reflect or appreciate what we've done. And the problem with that is, it can burn you out. You can lose motivation if you feel like there's never any payoff for all your hard work. But what if you could change that? What if you could create a system where you actually rewarded yourself after completing a task? It might sound simple, but trust me, the act of rewarding yourself can be a game changer. When you finish something, whether it's a small task or something much bigger, it's so important to take a moment to recognize your accomplishment. And it doesn't have to be some grand gesture, but it should be something that makes you feel good, something that reinforces your progress. Why is this important? Because when you reward yourself, you create a positive feedback loop. You've worked hard, you've completed a task, and now you get something in return. This reinforces the behavior and motivates you to keep going. Every time you finish something and give yourself a reward, you're telling your brain, this is good, this is what I want to do more of. Now, I'm not saying that the reward should always be something big or extravagant. It could be as simple as taking a break, having a cup of coffee, watching a short episode of your favorite show, or even just stepping outside for a few minutes of fresh air. The key is that you acknowledge the work you've done and give yourself permission to enjoy the rewards of that effort. And it's not just about the reward itself, but about the feeling that comes with it. When you give yourself a treat after completing something, you create a sense of accomplishment, a feeling of satisfaction. This boosts your confidence and makes it easier to take on the next task. It's like giving yourself a pat on the back for doing something well. You get that sense of pride, which fuels your drive to keep going. Think about it. When you're working toward a goal and there's no reward at the end, it can be easy to lose sight of why you're even doing it in the first place. You get stuck in the grind, day after day, and it starts to feel like it's all for nothing. But when you break things down into smaller tasks and reward yourself after each one, the journey becomes more enjoyable. You've got little milestones along the way, and you get to celebrate those victories. One of the best ways to make this work is to pair the reward with the task. For example, let's say you've got a project that you need to complete. Break it down into smaller steps and tell yourself, okay, once I finish step 1, I'll take a 10-minute break. Once you finish step 2, maybe you'll treat yourself to your favorite snack. And once the entire project is done, you can reward yourself with something bigger, like a night out with friends, or a relaxing evening of doing something you love. These little rewards keep you motivated and give you something to look forward to as you work. But let's not just talk about rewards on a surface level. There's a deeper reason why rewarding yourself is so powerful. It's about building positive habits. When you reward yourself for completing tasks, you start to train your mind to associate work with pleasure. This makes it easier to push through those moments when you don't feel like doing anything. Instead of seeing work as something you have to do, you start to view it as a stepping stone towards something better. You look at the task ahead of you and think, this is an opportunity to earn a reward. And over time, this positive association with work helps you stay focused and motivated. The more you build this habit of rewarding yourself, the easier it becomes to keep working, even when things get tough. You start to learn that the effort you put in will always lead to something good. This in turn helps you stay on track and accomplish more than you ever thought possible. Here's the thing, it's not just about the reward itself, it's about teaching yourself to enjoy the process. Too often we focus solely on the end result. We want to reach the finish line so badly that we forget to enjoy the journey. But the truth is, it's the journey that makes the destination worth it. And when you reward yourself along the way, you learn to appreciate the process, to find joy in the work, and to build a stronger connection to your goals. If you're having trouble sticking to a routine or finding motivation, I'd encourage you to experiment with rewards. Start by setting small, achievable goals and pairing them with rewards. It could be something simple, like taking 5 minutes to relax after a productive hour of work, or treating yourself to something nice after completing a difficult task. Don't just focus on the long-term goal. Break it down into smaller, manageable pieces and celebrate each victory along the way. You might be surprised by how much of a difference this simple practice can make. It's not about indulging or being lazy. It's about taking care of yourself, acknowledging your efforts, and reinforcing the habits that will get you closer to your bigger goals. Every step you take, no matter how small, is progress. And when you recognize that, you'll feel more motivated to keep going. Remember, rewards don't just have to be material things. Sometimes, the best reward is the feeling of accomplishment itself. It's the pride you feel when you know you've done your best, when you've put in the effort, and when you've completed something you set out to do. That feeling is priceless, and it will fuel you to continue striving for more. So today, make a commitment to yourself. After you complete a task, no matter how big or small, take a moment to reward yourself. You deserve it. It doesn't matter if the task is something small, like sending that email you've been putting off, or something bigger, like finishing a project you've been working on for weeks. Every victory counts, and every reward adds up. By creating this habit of rewarding yourself, you'll not only stay motivated, but you'll also learn to enjoy the process of working toward your goals. And when you enjoy the process, the journey becomes just as fulfilling as the destination. So go ahead, set your sights on your goals, do the work, and celebrate every step of the way. You've got this. Number 4, avoid thinking about how hard it is. Just begin. Sometimes we spend so much time thinking about how hard something is that we never even get started. We allow ourselves to be overwhelmed by the thought of how difficult a task might be. And before we know it, hours, even days, have passed without us making any progress. We get stuck in our own heads, trapped in a cycle of overthinking that paralyzes us. We tell ourselves, it's going to be too hard, or I don't have the energy for this. And before we know it, we've convinced ourselves not to try at all. But let me tell you something. Nothing gets done if you don't start. You'll never know how far you can go if you don't take that first step. The key is to stop focusing on how difficult something might be and just begin. You don't need to have everything figured out from the start. You don't need to see the whole path ahead of you. All you need to do is take that first step, and the rest will follow. When you start thinking about how tough a task is, you're setting yourself up for failure before you even begin. Your mind starts to create all these obstacles that aren't even real yet. You imagine how much time it will take, how hard it will be, and how many challenges you'll face. And suddenly, the task that was supposed to be simple becomes a mountain in your mind, one that seems impossible to climb. But here's the truth. Most of the time, those obstacles you're worried about don't even exist. They're just fears and doubts that you've created in your mind. Instead of focusing on the difficulties, focus on the actions you can take right now. The first step might be small, but that's okay. The important thing is that you're moving forward. Progress doesn't always have to be huge. In fact, it's the small steps that lead to big results over time. When you avoid thinking about how hard something is and just begin, you remove the power that fear and doubt have over you. You take control of the situation, and that's when things start to shift. Think about it. When you've been putting something off for a while, it often starts to feel like this giant task that you'll never be able to finish. But once you finally start, you realize that it wasn't nearly as bad as you thought. Sure, it might have been challenging, but it wasn't impossible. You might have made it harder on yourself by overthinking it in the first place. But once you broke through that mental block and started, the task became manageable. This is where the power of momentum comes in. Once you take that first step, you start to build momentum. You're no longer stuck in that place of inaction, wondering if you'll ever get anything done. Instead, you're actively working toward your goal. The more you work, the more progress you make, and the easier it becomes to keep going. The hardest part is always starting, but once you begin, it gets easier. The initial fear and resistance start to fade as you push forward. One of the biggest mistakes we make is thinking that we have to do everything perfectly from the start. We get so caught up in the idea that we need to have everything planned out perfectly, that we forget that the most important thing is to just begin. The journey will never be perfect. There will always be bumps along the way, but those bumps are part of the process. They help you grow, learn, and improve, and the more you do, the better you get. Now let's talk about something important here. Don't let the fear of failure stop you from starting. A lot of times we're afraid of making mistakes or not doing something perfectly, so we don't even try. But guess what? Mistakes are part of the learning process. You're not supposed to get everything right on the first try. If you do, that's great, but most of the time, it's the mistakes, the failures, and the setbacks that teach us the most. So instead of focusing on how hard something will be, focus on the lessons you'll learn along the way. The more you practice, the better you'll get. And remember, every step you take, even the small ones, is progress. I want you to remember this. It's better to start and make mistakes than to never start at all. Because if you don't start, you're guaranteeing that you won't make any progress. But if you start, even if it's difficult or challenging, you're moving forward, and that's what counts. The goal isn't to do everything perfectly. The goal is to keep moving forward, to keep taking action, and to never give up. And here's another thing. You don't need to have the entire picture figured out before you begin. Often we don't start because we think we need to know exactly how everything is going to work out. But the truth is, you don't need to see the whole path to take that first step. In fact, most successful people didn't have a clear picture when they started. They just knew they had to begin. They figured things out as they went, and they learned from the process. Think about it like this. If you're standing at the foot of a mountain, you don't need to see the entire path to the top in order to start climbing. You just need to take that first step. As you move forward, the next step will become clearer. It's the same with any goal you set. You don't need all the answers right away. Just take the first step and trust that the next steps will come as you move along. Sometimes all it takes is that one decision to start. Don't wait for motivation to hit you. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for the circumstances to be ideal. The best time to start is right now. The moment you decide to take action, you've already won half the battle. And once you start, you'll be amazed at how quickly things begin to fall into place. Remember, it's not about how hard it is or how long it will take. It's about taking that first step, and then the next one, and the next one after that. Every step you take brings you closer to your goal. So stop overthinking it. Don't worry about how difficult it might seem. Just begin and let the process unfold. You'll find that as you keep moving forward, the task will seem less daunting, and you'll be much more capable than you ever thought. Number 5, use an accountability partner to push you accountability. It's easy to get off track when you're working alone. It's easy to let your excuses take over when no one is watching. That's why having an accountability partner is so powerful. When you're trying to accomplish something big, having someone by your side to push you, encourage you, and keep you on track can be the key to success. We all have moments when we feel like quitting, when the work seems too hard, when the obstacles feel overwhelming, or when the progress feels too slow. It's in these moments that we need someone to remind us why we started in the first place. That's where an accountability partner comes in. They're the person who will hold you to your commitments, even when you don't feel like doing the work. They'll remind you that you're capable of more than you realize, and that the journey you're on is worth the effort. An accountability partner isn't just someone who checks in on you from time to time. They're someone who gets involved in your process. They're there to celebrate your wins with you and to push you when you're slipping. They help keep you focused and remind you of your goals, especially when the going gets tough. It's easy to make excuses when you're working on your own. You can tell yourself you're too tired, too busy, or that the task just isn't worth it. But when you have someone else who's holding you accountable, those excuses don't carry as much weight. Think about it. If you commit to meeting with someone every week to discuss your progress, you're much less likely to put off the work. You know that you'll have to answer to them, and that can be a powerful motivator. Having that person to check in with makes you feel more responsible. You know that they're rooting for you, but they're also expecting results. And that expectation can help you push through the moments when you'd rather take it easy. An accountability partner can also provide you with valuable perspective. Sometimes we get so caught up in our own heads that we lose sight of the bigger picture. We start to doubt ourselves, question our abilities, or wonder if we're even making progress. But when you have someone else to talk to, someone who's invested in your success, they can help you see things more clearly. They remind you of how far you've come and offer advice when you feel stuck. Their perspective can help you stay on track and keep moving forward. Now, I know it's easy to think that you don't need anyone to hold you accountable. You might think you're self-disciplined enough to get the job done on your own. And maybe you are, but let me tell you this. Having someone by your side makes it so much easier. It doesn't matter how strong your willpower is. Having an accountability partner creates a sense of commitment and responsibility that you just can't get on your own. They don't just hold you accountable for the tasks you've set for yourself. They also hold you accountable for your attitude and your mindset. If you start to get discouraged or lose sight of your goals, they're there to bring you back to the bigger picture. Accountability partners can be anyone: friends, family members, co-workers, mentors, or even people you meet through online communities. The important thing is that there's someone who genuinely cares about your success and is willing to push you when you need it. This isn't about someone who will let you off the hook. This is about finding someone who will be there to encourage you when you're feeling low and challenge you when you're not giving your best. One of the great things about having an accountability partner is that they can also help you stay motivated. When you know someone is expecting you to show up and give your best, it's harder to slack off. You can't hide behind your excuses when someone else is watching your progress. They help keep the fire burning, even when you're feeling unmotivated or stuck. It's not just about checking things off a to-do list. It's about staying committed to the bigger picture and pushing yourself to do your best, even when you don't feel like it. Now, I want to make sure you understand this clearly. An accountability partner isn't someone who's going to do the work for you. They're not there to carry the load or give you all the answers. Their job is to help you stay on track, to remind you of your commitments, and to keep you motivated. They'll offer support, but ultimately, the work is up to you. The beauty of having someone there to hold you accountable is that they help you take responsibility for your own actions and progress. You also want to be sure that the person you choose as your accountability partner is someone who will push you to do your best. This isn't about finding someone who will be easy on you. or let you off the hook when things get tough. An accountability partner is there to challenge you, to encourage you when you're down, and to give you that extra push when you need it the most. They should be someone who's not afraid to tell you the truth, even if it's not what you want to hear. Let's face it, it's easy to slack off when no one is holding you accountable. It's easy to make excuses and tell yourself you'll get to it tomorrow. But when you have someone else checking in on you, you feel a sense of responsibility. You know that they're depending on you to follow through, and that can be a powerful motivator. You don't want to let them down, and that feeling of accountability helps you stay on track, even when the going gets tough. At the end of the day, having an accountability partner isn't about being perfect. It's about being consistent. It's about showing up, doing the work, and staying committed to your goals, even when you don't feel like it. They're there to help you stay focused and remind you why you started in the first place. So find someone who will hold you accountable and push you to be the best version of yourself. You'll be amazed at how much you can accomplish with the right support behind you. Number 6, change your environment if you feel lazy. When you're trying to get work done, your environment plays a huge role in how productive you are. We often think that motivation or discipline is the only thing we need to push through laziness. But the truth is, your surroundings have a big impact on your mindset and energy levels. If you're feeling lazy or stuck, changing your environment can be the game changer you need to get back on track. Think about it for a second. Have you ever been in a place where you felt completely unmotivated, distracted, or sluggish? Maybe you were sitting on the couch or lying in bed, and it just felt impossible to get anything done. You couldn't focus. You couldn't summon the energy to get up and do what needed to be done. That's because the environment you're in plays a critical role in shaping your mindset and energy. If you're in a space that's too comfortable, too familiar, or too distracting, it's easy to let yourself get comfortable in that laziness. Now let's be clear, there's nothing wrong with resting and taking breaks. But when you're ready to work and make progress, your environment needs to support that effort. The right environment helps you focus, think clearly, and get into a productive state of mind. If you feel like you're constantly battling laziness, it could be time to change up your environment. You've probably heard the saying, your environment is stronger than your willpower, and it's true. The space you spend your time in has a direct effect on how motivated and focused you are. If you're working from a cluttered desk, surrounded by distractions, or in a place that feels too comfortable, your brain starts to associate that space with relaxation, not productivity. That's why it's so important to set up a work environment that encourages focus and action. Here's an easy way to think about it. When you're in a messy or disorganized space, your mind starts to feel cluttered too. You're surrounded by unfinished projects, piles of things to do, and distractions that pull your attention in every direction. It's hard to stay focused and be productive when your environment is chaotic. You might find yourself procrastinating, checking your phone, or just zoning out because the environment doesn't support your goal of getting work done. On the other hand, when you put yourself in a space that's clean, organized, and designed to promote focus, your brain is more likely to stay in work mode. When you walk into a space that's set up for productivity, it signals to your brain that it's time to focus and take action. The more you create this association, the easier it becomes to work without feeling distracted or lazy. One of the simplest changes you can make is to clean up your space. If you're surrounded by clutter, it's time to clean it up. A clean space clears your mind and makes it easier to focus on the task at hand. Start by removing distractions. Put away your phone, turn off notifications, and clear any unnecessary items off your desk or workspace. When your physical space is clear, your mental space becomes clearer too. Now, if you feel like you're still struggling to get into a productive mindset, it might be time to change your environment completely. Sometimes, just shifting to a different room, a different seat, or a different setting can make all the difference. If you're working at home and finding yourself getting lazy, try moving to a different room or a new area where you can focus better. Changing your environment doesn't mean you need to move across the world. It's about making small shifts in your physical surroundings that help your mind stay in work mode. For example, maybe you're used to working in a place where you relax, like your bed or the couch. That's not the best environment for productivity. Try moving to a table or desk where you associate the space with work. Or if you're working in a home office that feels uninspiring, try working in a coffee shop, a library, or even a different room in your house. The idea is to create a change of scenery that gives your brain a fresh start and signals to you that it's time to focus and get things done. The same goes for your digital environment. If you find yourself procrastinating or getting distracted by social media, turn off your phone or put it in another room. Use tools like website blockers to keep yourself from visiting distracting sites while you're working. The idea is to create an environment that makes it easier to stay focused, not one that constantly pulls your attention away from your goals. But let's not stop there. Another important aspect of your environment is the people around you. If you're constantly surrounded by people who are negative, who distract you, or who aren't supportive of your goals, it's time to reevaluate your environment. If the people around you are pulling you in the wrong direction, it can be hard to stay motivated and focused. Surround yourself with people who inspire you, challenge you, and support your journey towards success. Of course, you can't always control who's around you, but you can choose to spend more time with people who uplift you. Find a community of like-minded individuals who share your goals, values, and aspirations, whether it's through online groups, social circles, or professional networks. Connecting with people who are on the same path as you can help you stay motivated and encouraged. Another environmental change that can boost your productivity is lighting. Studies show that proper lighting can have a big impact on your mood and focus. If you're working in a dimly lit space, you might feel sluggish or tired. Try increasing the lighting in your workspace. Or if you're in a place with natural light, make sure you're sitting near a window to take advantage of it. Good lighting can improve your mood, keep you alert, and help you get into the flow of work. Temperature is another factor to consider. If you're too hot or too cold, it's harder to focus. Make sure your workspace is comfortable. You don't need to make it overly cozy, but you also don't want to be uncomfortable. Adjust the temperature in your space to make it conducive to focus and work. If you feel like you're still getting lazy despite making changes to your environment, it might be time to consider a complete change of scenery. Go to a coffee shop, a park, or anywhere that allows you to step out of your usual surroundings. Sometimes a fresh environment with new sights, sounds, and energy can be the spark you need to break out of your lazy mindset and get back to work. Remember, the goal is to make your environment work for you, not against you. Your surroundings shape your mindset, so be intentional about creating a space that motivates you to take action. Clean up your space, remove distractions, and surround yourself with positive influences. Whether it's physical space, digital space, or the people around you, make sure your environment encourages productivity and success. If you feel lazy or unmotivated, changing your environment can be the key to breaking that cycle. Create a space that promotes focus, energy, and progress. The right environment doesn't just help you get things done, it helps you stay motivated, energized, and on track to achieve your goals. So make the change. Find an environment that helps you be the best version of yourself, and watch how it transforms your productivity. Number 7, look at your goals every morning for motivation. When you wake up every morning, you face a new day with a blank slate. The day is full of possibilities, opportunities, and potential. But it's also full of distractions, challenges, and the temptation to procrastinate. That's why looking at your goals first thing in the morning is so powerful. It's one of the best ways to give yourself the motivation you need to tackle the day and make progress toward your dreams. Think about it when you wake up and immediately get caught up in the hustle and bustle of life. It's easy to forget what you're working toward. You get distracted by small tasks, respond to emails, check your phone, or get caught up in things that don't matter in the long run. Before you know it, hours have passed, and you've lost the chance to focus on what really matters. But when you take a moment in the morning to review your goals, everything changes. It shifts your mindset, sets your priorities, and reminds you of the bigger picture. It helps you start the day with purpose, clarity, and energy, knowing exactly what you need to do to move closer to your dreams. It gives you a sense of direction and focus, so you don't waste time on things that don't align with your goals. Looking at your goals every morning is like setting the tone for the day. It's like having a map to guide you through your journey, making sure you stay on track and don't get sidetracked by distractions. It reminds you of why you're working so hard, why you're pushing yourself, and why your efforts matter. It reconnects you with your vision and reignites that fire inside you to keep going. If you've ever found yourself feeling unmotivated or unsure of what to do next, you know how important it is to stay connected to your goals. Without them, you can easily lose sight of what you're working for, and that can lead to confusion, frustration, and a lack of direction. But when you're clear about what you want and you remind yourself of it every day, it's easier to stay motivated and take action. One of the keys to success is consistency. It's not about having one great day or one burst of motivation. It's about showing up every day and doing the work. By looking at your goals every morning, you're building a habit of focus and determination. You're making it a daily practice to keep your eyes on the prize, no matter what obstacles or distractions come your way. That kind of consistency is what separates those who succeed from those who give up too soon. So what exactly does it mean to look at your goals every morning? It's more than just reading them off a piece of paper. It's about truly connecting with your goals, visualizing what you want to achieve, and feeling the emotions associated with it. It's about getting excited, passionate, and motivated to take action. You should feel the energy in your body when you look at your goals, because this is what you're working toward. This is what you're fighting for. Here's a simple way to do it. Take 5 minutes every morning to sit down, breathe deeply, and reflect on your goals. Whether you have them written down or you keep them in your mind, spend this time reviewing them in detail. What are you trying to achieve? Why is it important? What steps can you take today to get closer to that goal? Don't just read the words, feel the weight of them. Let them sink in, and let them guide your actions for the day ahead. You might even want to keep your goals somewhere visible, like on your wall, your desk, or as the wallpaper on your phone. The more you see them, the more you're reminded of what's important. It's a constant reminder that the work you're doing is worthwhile, and that your goals are within reach, if you keep pushing forward. But it's not just about looking at your goals, it's about taking action. Motivation doesn't come from just thinking about your goals. It comes from moving toward them every day. The morning review should be followed by action. The moment you finish looking at your goals, take one small step in the direction of achieving them. Whether it's making a phone call, writing a paragraph, or researching something you need, make sure that you're taking action right after you look at your goals. That's how momentum builds. One of the things that can really help you stay motivated is to break your goals down into smaller, manageable pieces. Sometimes big goals can feel overwhelming, and that can make it hard to stay motivated. But when you break them down into smaller tasks, it becomes easier to see the progress you're making. Every little step counts. Every day that you take action, no matter how small, brings you closer to the big picture. Let's take an example. Maybe your goal is to write a book. That's a huge task. But if you break it down into smaller steps, it becomes more manageable. You might set a goal to write 500 words a day or spend an hour writing each morning. When you look at your goals in the morning, you can remind yourself that today's task is just a small part of the bigger picture. It's one step toward becoming a published author. When you take that step every day, you'll be amazed at how much progress you can make over time. It's also important to celebrate your wins along the way. As you look at your goals every morning, take a moment to reflect on what you've already achieved. Even the small victories matter. They build your confidence and show you that progress is happening. If you've written 500 words, that's 500 more than you had yesterday. If you've taken action toward your goal, you're moving forward. Celebrate that. Now let's talk about the power of routine. Looking at your goals every morning isn't just a one-time thing, it's a daily habit. The more you make this part of your routine, the easier it becomes to stay focused and motivated. You'll start your day with intention and purpose, knowing exactly what you need to do to move forward. And when you keep this routine going, it becomes second nature. You'll find that you don't have to rely on motivation alone. You'll have built a system of consistent action that keeps you on track. Looking at your goals every morning is not just a motivational tool. It's a way to train your mind to stay focused and determined. It helps you eliminate distractions, prioritize what matters, and take action every day. When you wake up and remind yourself of your goals, you're setting the tone for the day. You're telling yourself, this is what I'm here to do. This is why I'm working so hard. And today I'm going to take another step toward making it happen. It doesn't matter how big or small your goals are. The key is to connect with them every morning and let them fuel your actions. When you look at your goals, you remind yourself of the bigger picture, and you stay motivated to take the necessary steps to make them a reality. If you want to be successful, you have to stay focused on your goals day after day, no matter how hard it gets. This practice of reviewing your goals every morning will keep you on track and help you reach the success you deserve. Number 8, break big tasks into smaller steps. When you have a big task in front of you, it can feel overwhelming. Whether you're working on a personal project, a work assignment, or a long-term goal, the thought of completing a huge task can bring anxiety. It can make you feel stuck, unsure of where to begin, and doubtful about your ability to get it done. But here's the thing. Big tasks are often easier to tackle when you break them down into smaller, more manageable steps. It's a strategy that can make a huge difference in how you approach your work and your ability to stay motivated. Think about it. When you look at a large project or goal, it might seem like there's no way you can complete it. The goal may be too big, the task too daunting, and the time needed too long. It's easy to get paralyzed by the thought of how much there is to do. But when you break that big task into smaller chunks, it no longer feels as overwhelming. Instead of looking at it as one massive mountain to climb, you can see it as a series of smaller hills that are easier to conquer. Breaking big tasks into smaller steps isn't just about making things easier. It's about creating a sense of progress. Every time you complete a small step, you feel a sense of accomplishment. That feeling of progress can be incredibly motivating and can give you the momentum to keep going. Small wins lead to bigger wins, and over time, these small steps add up to big results. It's the compound effect in action. Let's say, for example, you're working on a report for work and it's due in a week. Instead of thinking, I have to write this entire report, which can feel stressful and overwhelming, break it down into smaller tasks. Maybe the first task is to do some research for the report. The second task might be to create an outline. Then, you can break the writing into sections, such as the introduction, body paragraphs, and conclusion. Each of these steps feels much more manageable, and as you check them off one by one, you build momentum and get closer to your goal. Now, breaking down tasks isn't just about making them more manageable, it's also about setting yourself up for success. When you create smaller steps, you're creating a clear path forward. It's easier to know what you need to do next because you've laid it out for yourself. This sense of clarity helps reduce confusion and procrastination. When you have a clear next step, you can dive right in without wasting time wondering where to start. But it's important to be specific when breaking down tasks. Vague goals like write report or finish project are not helpful. You need to be specific about the action you'll take and the outcome you expect. Instead of write report, break it down into specific actions like research for the report, write introduction, draft body paragraphs, and edit and revise the report. The more specific you can be about each task, the easier it will be to stay on track. Let's use another example. Let's say you're trying to get in better shape. You might have a goal to lose 20 pounds, but looking at that number might feel intimidating. Instead of focusing on the big goal, break it down into smaller daily actions. Maybe one step is to go for a 30-minute walk every day. Another step is to start eating more vegetables with your meals. Another task might be to drink more water throughout the day. These small steps add up over time, and before you know it, you'll be well on your way to reaching your bigger goal. It's also helpful to set deadlines for each of your smaller tasks. Having deadlines creates a sense of urgency and helps you stay focused. It prevents procrastination and ensures that you're moving forward every day. For example, if you have a large project to complete by the end of the week, set deadlines for each of the smaller tasks. Research might be due by the end of day 1, the outline by day 2, and the first draft by day 3. Each deadline gives you a sense of direction and purpose, and keeps you on track to finish the project on time. One of the keys to breaking big tasks into smaller steps is to keep your end goal in mind. As you complete each small task, remember that each one brings you closer to your bigger goal. Even though the tasks are small, they're part of the bigger picture. It's easy to get caught up in the individual steps and forget why you're doing them in the first place. But when you connect each small task to your larger goal, it reminds you why it's worth doing the work. You're not just writing a report or going for a walk. You're working towards something bigger. That mindset will keep you motivated and focused. Another important aspect of breaking down tasks is the idea of progress over perfection. Many people avoid starting a task because they feel like they need to do everything perfectly. They think, I can't start until I know exactly what to do. But perfection is not the goal. It's progress. Every small step you take is a step in the right direction, and each step gets you closer to where you want to be. Don't let the fear of imperfection hold you back. Take action. Even if it's not perfect, you can always improve as you go along. The important thing is to start and to keep taking action. Sometimes breaking tasks down can also help you overcome feelings of overwhelm or frustration. If you've ever looked at a huge project and thought, "I'll never get this done," you know how paralyzing that can feel. But when you break it down, it's like you've given yourself permission to focus on one small part at a time. Each time you complete a small task, you'll feel less stressed and more confident. It takes the pressure off and makes the whole thing seem more doable. One final tip: don't be afraid to adjust your smaller tasks if necessary. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes things don't go as planned. You might run into obstacles or face challenges that slow you down. That's okay. The key is to stay flexible and adjust your smaller steps as needed. If you don't finish one task on time, that's fine. Just adjust the next step to make up for it. The most important thing is to keep moving forward, no matter what. Breaking big tasks into smaller steps is a powerful technique that can make your goals feel more achievable and help you stay focused and motivated. When you take things one step at a time, you reduce overwhelm, build momentum, and stay on track to success. The key is to be specific, set deadlines, and connect each small task to the bigger picture. And remember, every small step you take brings you one step closer to your goal. Keep moving forward, and you'll reach your destination. Number 9, stop waiting for motivation. Take action first. When it comes to getting things done, one of the biggest traps we fall into is waiting for motivation to hit us. We tell ourselves, "Once I feel motivated, I'll get started." We think that motivation is the thing that will push us to take action. But the reality is, it doesn't always work that way. In fact, waiting for motivation to come is one of the biggest mistakes we make in achieving our goals. Motivation is often seen as this magical force that will sweep over us and propel us into action. It's easy to think that once we feel that burst of energy or excitement, we'll be unstoppable. But here's the truth. Motivation doesn't always come when we want it. In fact, it often comes after we've already taken action, not before. The key to overcoming this trap is simple. Stop waiting for motivation to strike and start taking action first. The secret is in understanding that motivation is a byproduct of action, not the other way around. When we start working, even if we don't feel motivated at first, we begin to build momentum. And momentum is one of the most powerful forces when it comes to getting things done. Let's say you have a task you need to complete. Maybe it's writing a report, starting a workout routine, or making a difficult phone call. The natural instinct might be to wait until you feel motivated to get started. You might think, "I'll start tomorrow when I'm in the mood," or "I'll wait until I feel more inspired." But the truth is, waiting for that perfect moment can keep you stuck in a cycle of procrastination. The best way to break that cycle is to start, even if you don't feel like it. When you take that first step, no matter how small, something amazing happens. You begin to shift your focus from the overwhelming nature of the task to the action itself. As you begin to work, you create a sense of progress, and that progress, even if it's small, starts to generate motivation. The more you work, the more energized you become, and before you know it, you're fully engaged in the task, making progress, and feeling good about it. Motivation has a way of showing up once you start moving. Think of it like starting your car on a cold morning. If you wait for the car to warm up before you start it, you could be waiting forever. But once you turn the key, the engine begins to warm up, and soon enough, the car is running smoothly. Motivation works the same way. It doesn't always show up on its own. Sometimes, you need to start the engine yourself. One of the reasons why action leads to motivation is that action breaks the cycle of overthinking. Often we get stuck in our heads, thinking about all the things we need to do, how hard it's going to be, and how long it might take. This thinking causes us to feel overwhelmed, which makes it harder to take that first step. But when we focus on just taking action, no matter how small, it pulls us out of that cycle of overthinking and into the present moment. Once we start, it's easier to keep going. Another benefit of taking action first is that it builds confidence. The more you do, the more you prove to yourself that you're capable of getting things done. This boost in confidence creates a positive feedback loop that makes it easier to take action in the future. You start to realize that even when you don't feel like it, you can still get things done, and that feeling of accomplishment fuels your motivation to keep going. So how can you start taking action when you don't feel motivated? One of the most effective strategies is to break down your tasks into smaller, more manageable pieces. If you're facing a large project, break it down into small, actionable steps. This way you're not overwhelmed by the size of the task. Instead of thinking, I have to write a 10-page report, focus on the first step. I need to write the introduction. Once you've completed that, move on to the next step, and so on. By focusing on one small action at a time, you'll make progress without waiting for motivation to strike. Another strategy is to set a timer for a short amount of time, like 10 or 15 minutes. When you commit to working for just 10 minutes, you take the pressure off yourself. You're not committing to hours of work, just a short burst of effort. Often, once you get started, you'll find that you're able to keep going beyond the timer. But even if you don't, you've made progress. And that progress will carry you forward. Remember, it's not about waiting for motivation to appear. It's about taking action first. Motivation follows action. It's that simple. When you start doing the work, even if you're not feeling inspired or excited, you'll create momentum. Momentum will carry you through the tough moments. And before you know it, you'll be on your way to completing the task at hand. Don't let the lack of motivation stop you from reaching your goals. Start today, right now. Don't wait for the perfect moment or the perfect feeling. Start with the first step and let the process unfold. You'll be surprised at how much you can accomplish when you stop waiting for motivation to show up and simply start working. The key takeaway here is that motivation is something that comes with action. It's not something you need to wait for. It's something you create by moving forward. The next time you're feeling unmotivated, don't wait for the right feeling to come. Just take the first step. Once you do, you'll find that motivation follows, and before you know it, you'll be on your way to accomplishing great things. Number 10. Remind yourself, I only win if I keep going in life. The road to success is rarely a straight path. It's filled with ups and downs, moments of triumph, and periods of struggle. The key to achieving your goals and living the life you want isn't just about having a great idea or setting lofty goals. It's about staying committed, even when things get tough. The truth is, success doesn't come to those who start. It comes to those who keep going. The reality is simple. You only win if you keep going. No matter how many obstacles you face, no matter how many times you fail, or how many times you feel like giving up, the only thing that truly matters is whether you keep moving forward. This mindset, this deep understanding that success comes from persistence, is one of the most powerful tools you can have in your journey toward your goals. When you start working towards something important, there's always a sense of excitement. It's new, it's fresh. You're eager to take on the challenge. But as time passes, you may run into difficulties. Maybe things aren't going as quickly as you'd like. Maybe you face setbacks that feel discouraging. And in those moments, it's easy to want to quit. It's easy to say, I've had enough. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. But that's when you need to remind yourself, I only win if I keep going. One of the most common reasons people don't reach their goals is that they give up too soon. When the going gets tough, they stop. When the results aren't coming fast enough, they quit. But what separates the people who succeed from those who don't is perseverance. It's about sticking with it even when you don't see immediate results, even when the progress feels slow, and even when you feel like you're not making any headway. The reality is, success takes time. It's a process, and it doesn't always happen as quickly as you hope. But every step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goal. It's like planting a seed. You don't see the tree overnight, but if you keep watering it and nurturing it, eventually, it will grow. Your dreams and goals are the same way. Keep going, and eventually, you'll see the fruits of your labor. Think about the times in your life when you faced challenges. Did you give up when things got tough? Or did you push through, even when it felt like you couldn't go any further? Most successful people have experienced hardship, failure, and disappointment. But they didn't let those things stop them. They kept going, and that's why they succeeded. They understood that success isn't about avoiding failure. It's about learning from it and continuing to move forward, no matter what. In those tough moments, when everything feels difficult, and you're questioning whether it's worth it, remind yourself of this simple truth. I only win if I keep going. That thought alone has the power to pull you through. It can help you push past the doubts, the fatigue, and the frustration. It's a reminder that quitting is never an option. The only way to fail is to stop trying. Sometimes success isn't about doing everything perfectly. It's about showing up, day after day, even when you don't feel like it. It's about putting in the work, no matter how challenging or uncomfortable it may be. It's about being consistent, not perfect. The person who keeps showing up, who keeps doing the work, who keeps learning and growing, that's the person who eventually achieves their goals. So what does it mean to keep going? It means pushing through the hard days. It means not letting failure define you, but rather seeing failure as a lesson. It means taking one more step, even when you feel like you're running on empty. It means choosing to move forward, even when everything inside you wants to quit. When you face challenges or setbacks, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that you're not good enough, or that you'll never make it. But that's where the power of perseverance comes in. If you can keep going, you'll eventually prove to yourself that you are capable of far more than you ever thought possible. Every time you get back up, every time you keep going, you build confidence, and that confidence fuels your momentum. If you want to achieve anything meaningful in life, you have to embrace the reality that success is not an overnight occurrence. It takes time, effort, and a commitment to keep going, even when it's hard. Remember that success is the result of consistent effort over time. So don't let the tough moments stop you. When you hit a roadblock, remind yourself, I only win if I keep going. Think about your goals for a moment. What are you working toward? What is it that you want to achieve? Now think about the obstacles that stand in your way. There will be obstacles, of course. There always are. But let those obstacles be the fuel that keeps you moving forward. Let them remind you that the only way to truly fail is to give up. When you keep going, even when it's hard, you send a powerful message to yourself. I'm not a quitter, and that's the kind of mindset that will help you push through anything life throws your way. Every time you remind yourself that you only win if you keep going, you reinforce the belief that success is within your reach. It might take longer than you expected. It might be harder than you thought, but if you keep going, you will win. So whenever you're feeling discouraged, whenever you're tempted to quit, remind yourself of this simple phrase, I only win if I keep going. It's not just a motivational slogan, it's a truth that will carry you through the toughest times. When you keep going, you prove to yourself that you are capable of achieving great things, no matter the challenges. In the end, success is not about avoiding failure, it's about learning from it and continuing on the path. It's about never giving up, no matter how many setbacks you face. The person who keeps going is the one who eventually achieves their dreams. So remember, the key to winning in life is simple. Keep going, no matter what. Keep going, because that's the only way to win. The hardest part about working is starting. Once you begin, momentum takes over. Now as we wrap up, remember this, you don't need to wait for the perfect moment or the perfect feeling to start working. You have everything inside you to keep moving forward, even on the days when you don't feel like it. It's all about showing up, making the decision, and taking that first step. Once you push past the resistance, the rest becomes easier. Whether it's your personal goals, work, or anything else, the key is consistency, discipline, and a strong mindset. So next time you don't feel like working, just remember that you have the power to keep going. Don't let the feeling of laziness or doubt hold you back. Break through it, take action, and see how much progress you can make. If you found value in today's video, hit that like button, share it with others who need to hear this, and don't forget to subscribe for more. Let's keep pushing forward together, one step at a time. Thanks for watching, and let's keep working, because you've got what it takes.